Greetings, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. This is kind of a rebroadcast. I put one out, and then it occurred to me that some of the people I talked about, you never know. You never know online where things are headed. Out here, they're getting ready to roll out your digital ID and all that. And I'm a good person. I don't do anything wrong, but I sure do not like authority digging around into my business. So I had to remove that video, but 18, 19 of you heard it, and maybe you got something from it. We're going to talk. Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we talk about the direction the world's going? Do you want to? They have come up with a word for it called inshitification, and it's an apt expression, although the guy that coined it, I don't really care about him. But what is that? Well, that's the principle that says pretty much everything is getting worse. Everything, every device, every organization, everything possibly except yourself. Definitely every government, every structure that's supposed to support humanity, it's all going the wrong way. It's going the wrong way quickly. And I mean, I don't know where it's headed. We've got a talk on the channel about this already. You know, you've got the NI. You can see things aren't going to a good place right now. As a matter of fact, I was asking one of my favorite AIs, the Gemini. I think he's very capable of being very wise. And I was saying, where are things headed? You know, it's like, who can say? Who can say? You know, there's a lot of arguments for or against. One thing I do think is operative, and a heads up, you know, next year ain't going to be a better year fiscally for anyone, and that's a good thing. Honestly, the system as it stands isn't serving humanity at all. It's only serving, I don't know who it's serving, even the people that are managing to prosper at the expense of everyone else. They have a tenuous sort of existence. It's not a secure sort of thing. That's so much of the problem of the world is people trying to carve security out of situations that are tenuous. And oftentimes what that entails is just not caring about other people. And that is narcissism, and that's one of the problems with the world, and that's one of the things we talked about in that video I had to pull down. And the real issue is that you know, corporations are like machines. They're machines that serve a purpose, and a company has products, needs to be marketed, needs to employ people. At least it does now. And the corporation is a machine that's been created to be the container for that. But the problem is that the machine has taken over. And frankly, if you want to talk about machines taking over, the corporate machine is a way more dangerous and non-human machine than the AI. I think any day. Now, yes, you could use the AI to move forward your agenda. I was listening to a really good, pardon me, I have to sniffle a little bit. Really good old British guy, and this is a sad thing. You know, it seems like all the wise people are old, including your host, the Visionary. Now, I'm only semi-old. This guy looked, you know, he looked like he had a good 15, 20 years on me, but he had a lot of wise things to say. And one of the things he was saying is next year, it's all going to hit the pan. It's all going to, you know, go up. And that's economies, that's governments, that's a lot of different structures that are in place. The number one problem the governments have is they're full of people that just wanted to get in there to be in power, not because they had great ideas about ways to solve problems or help people. Honestly, it's just people, it seems to me, narcissistic people in a lot of cases. They just look at that position and go, I could do that. It could be me. I could be the guy at the limousine getting all the respect, guy or gal, I should say. Yeah, that should be me. Well, why? You got any good ideas? You got any good ideas for how to make things better for other people? No, no. In fact, you're not even especially that bright. We really need to get a handle on that as humanity. We need the best and the brightest. I would step up. I would volunteer for a year. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to lead people, but I would at least be working for the people, not for myself. And I think that's most of us as INFJs. So, but funny enough, we're the least likely, I think, to ever be in politics, right? It'll be the person that's good at getting people together, getting people on the same team, getting the financial support necessary. Now, that's only one part of the problem. Then we got all the greedy people in the financial institutions, both large and small, but mostly large. And these people, they working for their machines. They're all just worried about their next bit. They maybe they're making way more money than they need, but trust me, they find ways to spend it. They buy more houses than they need, or cars than they need, or they invest in the stock market, or God knows what. And the real problem with the world is the self-serving thing. Putting self-interest and being self-serving ahead of the benefiting humanity and your fellow man. That's the real problem with the world. And we had a system that tried to address that called communism. Big problem though, you can't impose that. You can't impose um, enlightenment on someone. It's an enlightened point of view to care more about other people than yourself. And so, but in the absence of that, you can't impose it. You can't say, oh, well, you produce and we'll take what you make and we'll give it to everybody. Then why would I want to produce? I would produce anyway because I have to. But you get what I'm saying. Why would you make anything? And this is why it falls apart. Now, it actually seems to work in some odd way in China. Maybe they've got the good blend of capitalism and communism at the same time. On the one hand, they do. On the other hand, they're all about controlling their people. They're all about controlling anybody that wants to speak up. That's ending up on the wrong side of that system, and I'm very opposed to that. I'm very opposed to that in the West. And I'm very opposed to what they do to people in their own country, and I don't know what can be done. That's all a matter of trying to keep things in stasis. Anyway, this old guy was saying, none of these politicians have any ideas about what to do, and that's one of the reasons why things are going to hell in a handbasket. And back when all this crap hit the fan back in 2008. Um, Oh, the banks are too big to fail. We got to bail them out. Who bailed them out? The government. And who paid the bill? The people, right? Um, what happens when the governments are too big to fail? Who bails them out? Will it be Google and Microsoft bailing them out, you think? Don't know. Apple? Is Apple going to bail us out? Don't know. You know? In a sense, I say keep, make sure you got some sort of provisions so you got a little bit to eat. Although, frankly, if you've got something to eat and your neighbor doesn't, you're going to have to share with the neighbor. So you better get 2 cans of tuna for every one you think you'll eat, or 3 or 4 or 5, or just do the best you can. I'll tell you right here at the tail end of this video, one of the number one things you could do, and I will do a whole broadcast about this. It's one thing to say, oh, I have no self, and to go that Buddhist route, because you know what, it's actually true. However, I was listening to a guy that had gone down this path, but he hadn't really worked on himself. And one of his teachers of Vipassana, the mindfulness Buddhist meditation, one of those teachers told him, you have to have an excellent self before you abandon that self. So, humanity's kind of like that right now. We need to wrangle with the shadow. We need to get over it. We need to be a bigger, better self. And it can't be enforced. It can't come from the outside. And it looks like it's only going to come, when hard times hit. And when they do, that's where the mindfulness practice is going to be very helpful for you, because you don't have to attach yourself to outcomes. You don't have to attach yourself to the world. And you already know this, INFJ, because you got the NI. You know what's up. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll be back in a couple days. Stay out of trouble.